What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Resistance. Live press conference underway. Winter Haven, Florida. Officer involved shooting just happened last night. Breaking news.
Here's what we know at about 10:02 p.m. Last night there was a 911 call to our center where a black female, 21 years of age, and her husband, Joshua Caldwell, who's 21 years of age, called in and said they had gone to the residence in Orchid Springs to pick up a 14-year-old child, a black female child that was only 14 years of age. When they arrived there, Larry Jenkins was at the residence by himself, meaning that his wife was not there. That's Larry and his 14-year-old child. But we were told by our 21-year-old young lady, whose name we can't provide because by law she made the 911 call and her name is confidential, or we would be more than happy to tell you. She said that the 14-year-old child told her that she had unwanted sexual advances toward her all day long by this 52-year-old male. So when they arrived, at that particular time, Larry Jenkins came out of the back of the apartment while the 14-year-old female came out of the front. Joshua Caldwell intercepted or talked to Larry Jenkins, and he made the statement that take this gun and shoot it, or worse to that effect. Of course, Joshua didn't do that. At that time, Larry Jenkins, according to Joshua, put the gun to his head and either tried to shoot it or it looked like tried to shoot it to him. Joshua said he then racked the gun and shot it to the ground, and they all fled, meaning the 21-year-old female, the 14-year-old child, and Joshua Caldwell, and they made the 911 call. The Winter Haven police officers arrived and knocked at the front door, and they were operating on the information that there was an armed disturbance where at least a shot had been fired, and no one answered the door. Sergeant Dental went to the back where he saw Larry Jenkins on the screened-in porch. Larry had his right hand in his pocket, and they said either had something in his pocket or had a fist made. It was not just like someone had their hands in their pocket, but there was a big bulge in his right pocket. So and he was smoking a cigarette with his left hand. So the officers told him multiple times, show me your hands, show me your hands. To which Larry Jenkins announced to the police officers, I have a gun in my pocket. At that time, he walked off of the screen porch toward the police officers. As soon as he exited the porch, the inside of the porch, he stopped. He told the police officers, I'm going to die tonight. You all are going to shoot me. Sergeant Dental then directed one of the officers to put his firearm up and to transition to his taser. They tased or attempted to tase Larry Jenkins one time, and it didn't do any, there was no results, no at all. The officer said, as I tased him the first time, I saw his hand coming out of the pocket and could see the butt of the gun. He said, so I immediately tased him again. And he flinched, but it didn't take him down. And at that time, he pulled the gun out. When he pulled the gun out, at that time, the sergeant shot at least 7 times And we've not had time to accurately, and I underscore accurately, do a detailed dive, but our best estimate is over a period of about 1 to 1.2 seconds. It was that quick, and it was over. He and the firearm fell to the floor or to the ground outside. Police officers immediately, heroically started life-saving efforts. EMS arrived and drove our suspect to Winter Haven Hospital, where he was later pronounced deceased. So in the meantime, our victims who fled the scene have now gone to the bowling alley which is 542 east of Winter Haven, and we met with them to get detailed statements. We talked to Joshua, and he said that Jenkins, when he tried to give him the gun, told him, "I'm fixing to get ready to die." Joshua said that Larry Jenkins had been drinking all day long and was drunk. The 21-year-old told us that the 14-year-old child told her that he had been making sexual advances toward her all day, and in fact had committed lewd conduct in her presence. Well, before we can talk to the 14-year-old, Grandma shows up, and she immediately doesn't want the 21-year-old or the 14-year-old to talk to us anymore. She says, "We need an attorney." We spent an incredible amount of effort trying to explain to Grandma that the 14 and 21-year-old are victims and witnesses. They're not suspects. They don't need attorneys. We're here to help them. We're here to follow up on the 911 call and what the 14-year-old told the 21-year-old that happened. We're really giving you a 30,000-foot view at this time. The state attorney's office also arrives at an officer-involved shooting scene to do an independent investigation. So the Winter Haven Police Department, in their professionalism, said, "Look, we'll let the sheriff's office investigate, the state attorney investigate, and that's what we're in the process of." We're in the initial investigation statement. As I said before, I'll remind you again that if and when additional information is available, we'll give that to you. I apologize that we can't give you the names, but for obvious reasons. The 14-year-old is potentially, and we need to hear it from her, not through the 21-year-old or through Joshua, exactly what occurred to her. But here's what I know from a great deal of experience, and more experience than any of us want on officer-involved shooting. Larry Jenkins broadcast his intent. He said those things. The officers at great risk when he tells them, "I've got a gun." The sergeant directs one of them to put his gun up and to get a taser. So the Winter Haven police officers tried to talk him down, tried to de-escalate it, then tried to use a taser. And only after all of that failed, and the presence of the firearm coming out of the pocket in his hand was there, was deadly force used to protect those police officers from what could have been imminent serious bodily injury or death from Larry shooting them down. Well, let's talk about the history of Larry Jenkins. In the past years, he's been charged with armed robbery and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He's been to prison on one occasion. Legally, Larry Jenkins did not have the right to possess a firearm at all. but he did that day. According to what we're told, he had been drinking all day long. We don't know, and until the medical examiner completes his investigation, whether there was anything else other than alcohol, but we'll report that in our final analysis. What we know is that there was evidence of him drinking all day long around the house whenever we served the search warrant on the house in order to complete the investigation for the Winnebago Police Department and the State Attorney's Office. Before we take questions, if you have any, I would like to give the ministers the opportunity to make a statement. And it speaks volumes when we have our colleagues, and that's what they are. These ministers are part of the community, and we're part of the community. And we immediately, as soon as we had all the information together, and they were finished preaching today, met with them to give them the details. It's not just transparency, it's the way we do things in Polk County. We're a team and we're a community, and you don't get trust until you first give trust. And I trust these men to the ends of the earth. So, gentlemen, whoever would like to speak?
Thank you, Sheriff. Most of us here will work together for the cause of justice in Polk County, and we believe it is ultimately important that whatever takes place is transparent, it is immediate, that we are brought to the table so that we can have an understanding of what's taking place. We've had a chance to talk with the sheriff, and he's shared as much with us as he has been able to decipher thus far in the investigation. At the end of the day, we want the citizens to go home safely, and we also want the policemen to go home safely. Ultimately, what we can ascertain thus far was a tragedy that took place, and we pray that we be able in the future not have to have these tragedies take place in our community. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Dawson, and ironically, I was preaching about this type of thing this morning because of the climate in which we're in, knowing that there's an imminent verdict in the George Floyd case, and in light of what has happened, the Wright case is still ongoing, and to hear today of what has taken place in our community, as well as other incidents that have preceded this incident, crimes and other issues that we are confronted with. I had a mother that called me about drive-bys, shootings in her house, police telling them to go in because that was taking place. And to be summoned today and to hear of the tragedy that unfolded just this past evening certainly is disturbing. Life has been lost. And again, so I'm grateful for the sheriff and for our law enforcement officers who have taken the time to consult with us, to share with us what they do know at this time. And we look forward to further information that will shed perhaps even more light onto this matter, and knowing that justice was indeed served. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this effort today, and we're praying mightily for our community as we move forward, and praying and hopeful that in the few days ahead that this country will not erupt, as I'm hoping that it will not, dealing with the verdict of the George Floyd case. We know that has very serious implications, and I think all of us recognize that.
I'm Pastor Leonard from the Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. I want to express our gratitude to the sheriff for summoning us together today to let us know what had taken place. This is nothing new with the sheriff department. We have done this over the years since he's been sheriff. We come together. And I think this is one of the reasons that we don't have as many incidents and shootings by police officers and deputies in our county and in our city. The sheriff has given a layout to us as to what happened. This is all that we can take back to the community as of right now. We are waiting for further information from the ongoing investigations so that we will have more intelligence as to what has taken place and what the potential outcome will be. I think that we'll be able to address some of these problems, be it in our community or in our city or county, only through education. We have to realize the fact that there are many different causes for this type of action. We don't know whether it's drugs. We do know that alcohol is involved. I want to plug this, and that is we have to be very careful. We know that we have a lot of mental cases that bring about action that would not be normal actions. But I want us to also pray for those officers who fired those shots, because I know he doesn't go home feeling well and they have lost much sleep. I want to pray for the family also. No mother wants to lose a child, but sometime in life, that's the way the curve goes. But let us remember that those officers that was there and fired those shots, that the Lord will give them strength to deal with that particular situation. Thank you.
Good evening to the press and to Sheriff and Chief. I just called this afternoon from our former chief. After heard last night, amen, from my member, and a daughter called me to say that this incident of this tragedy had taken place. And immediately my heart went out, because nobody wants to lose a child, and especially in these times that we're in now. I would like to say that we have sat at the table with Chief Byrd and his staff and talked about this kind of situation that could possibly happen in our city. And I believe in my heart that there are some things that have been set in motion to try to be able to keep this kind of stuff from being where it erupts into even things that have happened across our country. I know that there have been some things that have happened that have been really sad, and a lot of lives have been lost, as well as people, buildings and places burned, and all kinds of things that have happened. But I believe there is a better answer and a solution, amen, to these type of situations. And we'll talk about training, and I hope that this will be another encouragement in our county, in our cities, amen, that it is important, amen, that, as Pastor Leonard said, education to not just only police officers, but to our, amen, citizens, that they will understand the importance of following the directions of, amen, law enforcement. So I pray for the Jenkins family. I pray for law enforcement, as I do not just in these crisis times, but I pray for, amen, these men and women and all law people every day. Every time I pray, I ask the Lord for guidance, for protection, for wisdom, for knowledge, because they have to make decisions that affect us all. And certainly, we want to be able to live the rest of our time here. You know, how much longer we've got to be here, but the rest of our time, we hope that we can live together and help each other as we go through the rest of our life. Amen. I pray the blessings of the Lord will be upon all of our cities and all of our citizens tonight. God bless you.
Okay, we'll entertain questions, but once again, we pretty well told you everything that we know. Here is a picture of the firearm that Larry Jenkins had. It's a 9mm Taurus, and it was loaded, and there was a round in the barrel, and we found the casing from where he fired the shot earlier that rushed police officers to the scene to protect the community from what was reported on 911 as a man with a gun shooting in the community. We would love to give you more information on why the 14-year-old was at the apartment, but the law prohibits us from talking about that other than saying this was a person that the 52-year-old suspect Larry Jenkins had access to. That's correct. We certainly would like to provide names and further details, but the law specifically says that we protect the identity of anyone, but especially a child, who is potentially the victim of sexual misconduct. And we're still, I underscore, investigating that. We're operating from the initial information we received on the 911 call, and we're operating from the initial information we received before Grandma shot the 14-year-old down. But the indication is, it was the indication to us from them at this early stage of the investigation is that there was at least lewd conduct and horrible suggestions by the 52-year-old toward the 14-year-old. We also have the redacted 911 tape that we can play for you now. About all you can hear is the anxiety and a few words, because we've had to redact a lot of that. 21-year-old on the call.
I want to clarify one thing about the
Or relative to the 21-year-old. She was the sister of the 21-year-old. Okay. Yes.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I think it's or something like that. Okay, so then that's what happened. That's what happened. I'm sorry. I feel like what's going on is because he was harassing us and stuff like that. And he came up and something like he was for him, and he just I don't know where he got it, but he didn't pick it up. Okay, he shot it. Where did he pick it up at? I don't know. I thought he shot it in the ground. Okay, so listen here. Yes, ma'am. Listen, that is my this is okay, if anyone can hear you when there's other people talking in the background, okay. She was from the weekend, and I guess, she was uncomfortable with today, so she was texting me to come here and drive today, and she told me, that he had this inappropriate thing. Well, and she had told me that he was doing some inappropriate things, so, I went to, talk to him. I don't know, but we actually left the street because he he shoot it in the ground, or was anyone injured? Well, no, that's it. I got there and opened it up. He came out with it. On the road, he sat there, loaded it up. And it was pretty to see it, but I told him to sit there. I told him to get around, and he sat there and said, I'm gonna get ready to die. I'm gonna get ready to die. I told him to sit there and I was away from my side. Okay, so you got in the ground to see if it would work? I guess so, yes, ma'am. He's drunk. When he comes in, yeah, he knows from the phone. Okay, and what was his name? Larry Jenkins. Okay, where are you guys right now? I'm the place, where's the one that you what's the gas station? You're on Gandy Road? Gandy Road. It's off of yeah, off of Buckeye. It's right there. It's a short down. It's a funny little place there, right now. Oh, is Larry black, white, or Hispanic? He was black. Okay, what was Larry wearing? I'm gonna be back out my I don't know. Okay, that's okay. I'm just trying to get as much information as I can for the units, okay? What kind of gun was it? I'm guessing. Okay, so was it a handgun or shotgun? Yeah, it was a handgun. Okay, and you said that you loaded it? Yes.
Okay. As I close out today, I want to echo what our minister said. It is a horribly tragic event that any time anyone loses their life. It's equally horribly tragic for the law enforcement officer that now has to live with that for the rest of their life. No professional law enforcement officer wake up, put that uniform on, and look for that environment to occur. In fact, I would suggest just the opposite to you. They pray every day that they don't have to use their firearm in the line of duty. No one wants to. Okay, thank you very much. Is there, yes, ma'am?
He's been on the force 9.5 years.
Can you kind of explain with the, I guess, the virtual situations like that, someone who obviously using like their reaction and drunk out? What is kind of the process to address the situation?
Well, what we do with many officers, Sergeant Denham was trained in crisis intervention training, which is dealing with people, whether it's mentally ill, alcohol, substance abuse, and it's about talking to them, de-escalate that situation. We do that training. We have to do refresher training all the time, and that's what we do, plus some area training to work with that.
Is there bonding for this?
No.
Is the fact that the victim's father was a lawyer impeding the investigation of this at all?
It slowed the investigation down. We truly believe that the grandma was looking out for the best interests of what she received as the 14 and 21-year-old granddaughters. And she just didn't understand, the system. We don't think she was intentionally trying to impede the investigation. We think she was, being a good grandma. And when we found Mom, who was a truck driver, and was on her way back, Mom said, I'll have them there tomorrow afternoon. We issued them standard subpoenas this morning, but Mom said, I'm coming in on the truck after noon today, and I will have them down to the station so that they can cooperate. So we see it more as grandma wanting to look out for the best interest of the grandchildren. We hope sometime today to see.
And can we get a digital copy of it?
You absolutely can. And we also will provide you a copy of this.
Just to follow up with her, why isn't there a fight?
Because the Winnebago Police Department at this time doesn't have body camera or do what you back up footage. Excuse me?
You identified the one person lost?
Joshua Caldwell was one of our potential victims. He was there when Larry tried to hand him the gun and told him, shoot. And of course, he didn't take the gun, and that's when he put the gun to his head, and subsequent to that, he wrapped around, which leads me to believe that Joshua Caldwell was right, that he tried to shoot himself, and he wasn't one in the chamber at that time. And then he wrapped around and shot into the ground, and that's where they all fled. I think it's Caldwell, but we'll get you the exact spelling.
Just confirming no officers were hurt.
No officers were physically hurt. Emotionally,
But no officers were hurt.
no officers were physically hurt, but they certainly are emotionally scarred. Okay. Thank you very much for being with us this evening.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Resistance. They almost got us with a fast one. We almost missed that one. Winter Haven, Florida, Polk County. Officer involved shooting last night. Just wanted to bring that to y'all. I caught that live and probably was about maybe 7-8 minutes late. 10 minutes at the most. I redballed it back a little bit. But that press conference was by Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd. He gave the update on the deadly Winter Haven officer-involved shooting. It's getting crazy all around country. All around the country, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give a special shout out to everybody in my chat. Spooky Press on Free. Mr. Bloody Wolf Guy, Dragon ET, Level Wise to See. Mike Jones. Little Red. Worship Audit. Jack Grinder. Tony G. Smells like corn chips. Deep Lockett. Carl Stenbeck. Dragon ET. Update Daily Breaking News. Lake Speed. Shout out to Lisa Speed as well. Gabby the Cat. Paul Jackson. Nick Bland. Sinatra Beer. Funny Eyes. I appreciate y'all.
Hit the lights! Everybody about to get killed out here. Like it for everybody.